Romans 4 and 10. How was it then reckoned? When he was in circumcision or in uncircumcision? Not in circumcision, but in uncircumcision.
They're talking about Abraham,
Right.
right? Who was given that covenant.
Yeah.
Read on.
And he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of the righteousness of the faith, which he had yet being uncircumcised, that he might be the father of all them that believe, though they be not circumcised, that righteousness might be imputed unto them also.
So the circumcision is an act, and it represents the covenant. These people that Paul is teaching have not gone through that act, but can still be righteous men. This is the gospel he's bringing to them. Read on.
And the father of circumcision to them who are not of the circumcision only, but who also walk in the steps that the faith of our father Abraham, which he had yet being uncircumcised.
So now they're saying, how can Abraham be counted for circumcision while physically being uncircumcised? Is a very competitive argument for people that are telling you that you must be circumcised to be righteous. To bring that up is a very competitive argument, right? So they'll probably argue, well, he later circumcised himself. They will argue that. But read on.
For the promise that he should be the heir of the world was not to Abraham or to his seed through the law, but through the righteousness of faith.
On.
For if they which are of the law be heirs, faith is made void, and the promise made of none effect, because the law worketh wrath. For where no law is, there is no transgression.
And that's the point. How can a New Testament author say, where there is no law, there is no transgression? Christians like to make the law ambiguous depending on what you ask them. When they want to criticize it, it's the law of Moses. When they have to agree with it, it's the law of Christ. Well, what law is this?
Right.
Where there is no law, there is no transgression. What law is he talking about there?
Right.
If you say the law of Christ, how would Abraham be under the law of Christ?
Exactly.
So that means where there is no law of Moses that you broke, you didn't sin.
You didn't sin.
Which means that sin is defined by breaking the
laws of God,
That's it.
the laws of Moses.
It's right there.
And that's a cut to you who try to accuse Jacob of sin, because where was that commandment given to Jacob? So again, the only way you can define sin is through the commandments of God given unto Moses. Abraham's circumcision of his flesh is just a keeping of the law, right? In today's terms, a keeping of the law. Because you have the laws of God that says, be circumcised on the 8th day. These men were not circumcised on the 8th day. So for them to circumcise their flesh, what did they keep that law? No, because the law says that they must be circumcised the 8th day. That's why Abraham is being taught to these men. Abraham was righteous before he was even physically circumcised. So it's teaching you something. That circumcision that Abraham went through was a signet of the covenant that he entered, right, with the Most High God. But your righteousness comes from what? The circumcision of your what? Your heart. And that's in the law of God. That's Deuteronomy chapter 10, right? Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your what? Your heart, right? Because in order for me to keep the laws of God and faith in Christ, I have to be changed where? In the heart. That means my evil ways have to be put aside. That means I repented. From what? Sin. And what's sin?
Transgression of the law.
Transgressing God's law.